Hi everyone, Matt Watson here from CarWow. You might think that buying an inexpensive car is a good idea, and sometimes it is. They tend to be cheaper to run, cheaper to insure, and cheaper to fix if they go wrong, right? Well, not always. I've teamed up with leading used car warranty provider Warrantywise to reveal some of the most expensive parts they've had to replace on normal everyday cars. I've ranked the cars based on the cost of the replacement part, including the labour for fitting, and worked it out as a percentage of the vehicle's original price. So here we go. This is the CarWow top 15 most expensive parts to replace on normal cars. Sometimes replacement parts are expensive because manufacturers just don't expect you to need to replace them. The Renault Zoe is a good example of this. It's one of the cheapest electric cars on sale, and you could get one for £19,845 in 2014. But if you need to fit a new windscreen wiper motor to a Renault Zoe, you're looking at a bill for £2,607. That's 13% of the value of the whole car when it was new back in 2014. You could pick up a brand new Citroën C3 Picasso for £13,200 back in 2012. But if you have a used one now and the steering rack fails, it could cost up to £2,225 to fix. That means you'd end up paying around 17% of the cost of the whole car when it was new to put the steering right. Ooh. Metal folding convertible roofs were all the rage back in 2013, but they aren't such a great idea if they go wrong. Replacing the motor and electrics that flip the roof up and down on the old Mercedes SRK could cost as much as £4,971. That's 17% of the value of the car's original retail price of £29,170. Well, god damn. Every modern car has a brain to control its engine. It's called the electronic control unit, or ECU for short. And they ain't cheap to replace if they go wrong. If you bought a Citroën C1 in 2013, it was cheap at £8,000. But if you have one now and its ECU fails, you could find yourself shelling out £1,434 for replacement. That's 18% of the original price of the car. Fortunately, replacing an ECU is often as simple as unplugging the old one and plugging in the new one, so it shouldn't take very long to get your car fixed. Small mercy then. A catalytic converter is a filter in your car's exhaust system that helps reduce the amount of harmful emissions it produces. So if it breaks, you just can't ignore it. Your car will eventually fail its MOT. Putting this problem right can be quite expensive though, especially in a 2014 Peugeot 208. Now back in the day, it wasn't an expensive car. You could pick one up for £11,245, but fitting a new catalytic converter to one today set you back £2,111. That's 19% of the total cost of the car when it was new. Back in 2014, the Optima was Kia's go at making a saloon that was sort of upmarket. This meant it came with a fancier infotainment system than most Kias of the time. Problem is, that means it's going to be quite a lot more to replace if anything breaks on one today. In fact, replacing an old Kia Optima's infotainment technology can cost as much as £3,707, and that is a hell of a lot of cash. It actually works out at 90% of the original cost of the whole car. The 2015 Nissan X-Trail is one of the younger cars in this list, but that doesn't mean it's exempt from some pretty horrendous repair costs, especially if you ever have to fix a turbocharger. Warrantywise data shows that replacing this one part on this car could cost £4,342. You could buy a factory fresh Nissan X-Trail for £22,995 back in 2015, which means replacing the turbo on one now would cost you 90% of the whole original price of the car. The timing chain in a car's engine is super important. It makes sure that the camshafts turn at exactly the right speed in relation to the crank and the pistons. If it breaks, the best thing you can hope for is that your car will just stop running. At worst, it can mangle your whole engine as the pistons start crashing into the valves. Lovely. So you can understand why a timing chain is quite expensive to fix, and it's especially pricey in a 2013 Audi A5, as it can cost up to £4,980 to replace. That's 19% of the total price of the Audi A5, which wasn't particularly cheap back in the day at £26,490. You can't buy Chryslers in the UK anymore, but when you could, the biggest, most American model they sold was the 300C. I actually really liked it. You could buy one for just under £30,000 back in 2013, and it was quite a decent price really. Only problem is, you better hope never having to replace a turbocharger on one. You see, this could put a massive £5,797 hole in your bank account. Now that's 20% of the price of the car when it was new. Scary. The Ibiza is the second smallest car that Seat makes, but fixing a broken turbocharger on a 2013 Ibiza diesel will set you back a whole lot of cash. I'm talking £2,905. You could buy the whole car for as little as £12,790 when it was brand new. That means that replacing this one part could cost you up to 23% of the original price of the car. The new Peugeot 3008 is a fantastic looking SUV. I really like it. But back in 2012, the original 3008 was a big rounded MPV, which was a bit meh. Now you could buy a brand new one for as little as £17,195, which seems pretty cheap by today's standards. But if you need to replace a throttle body on one, it could cost as much as £4,312. That's 25% of what the car cost new. There isn't a great deal about the practical Kia Venga mini MPV that'll get your pulse racing. But you might have a heart attack if you own one and the turbocharger fails, because replacing that could cost as much as £3,775. It's even more shocking when you find out that you could buy a whole brand new Venga diesel for £13,095 back in 2011. That means fixing the turbo will cost 29% of the car's initial list price. The 2013 Nissan Micro was a pretty forgettable car. One thing you won't forget about it in a hurry though is the cost of replacing a radiator, because you could be hit with a bill for £2,680. Back in 2013, the whole car would have just cost £7,995 new. So fixing that single part equates to 34% of that price. Before we continue with the countdown, I just want to check, have you subscribed to this channel? If you haven't, make sure you do, and hit the bell icon to turn your notifications on so you don't miss a single video. Anyway, let's continue with the countdown now. You don't want to have trouble with an old Volkswagen Polo's infotainment system, because if you do, it could cost as much as £4,131 to fix. That is a massive amount, especially when you consider that you could get a brand new Polo back then for around £10,420. That means a replacement system costs a massive 40% of the car's original price. Bonkers. The Polo isn't the worst car on this list though. That honour goes to another VW, the Up. Now you'd think there wouldn't be much to go wrong with a car this simple, but if the differential fails, you're not going to be having a very good time. Replacing one could cost you £3,942. The whole car only cost from £7,995 when it was new. So this repair works out at almost 50% of the original list price in 2013 and is more than its current used value, which means that if the differential goes wrong on an old VW Up, it could write the car off, as it'd be uneconomical to repair. Unless, of course, you paid for an aftermarket warranty.